and enlightenment coach. All right. So today we are going to talk about what is a testimony, why share your testimony, and who should you share your testimony with. Of course, this is my version, my appointment, but we're going to throw some little readings in there too, as it applies. So let me go ahead and get this disclaimer out the way. All right. This for entertainment purposes only. During the reading, I may understand, you may not. You may understand, I may not. We both may understand during the reading, or we both may not understand during the reading. I'm going to ask that you respect my perspective and I will respect your perspective as well. If the information that you're receiving is different from the information I'm providing, it's quite all right. Please share the message because it may be for me or someone else. Please do not use these readings as a form of therapy or advice. You've been blessed with the gift of discernment, so take the information you need and throw the rest away. All right. So, what is a testimony? To me, the first thing I think is test, right? The next thing I think is experience. What is an experience? An experience is a pleasant or unpleasant experience that we've had. That's what an experience is to me, right? In this life. The experiences are the pleasant or unpleasant situations. Let me put it that way. An experience is a pleasant or unpleasant situation that you have had in your lifetime, maybe from childhood all the way up into the present moment of where you are. So what happens with a testimony is a testimony says, I've had an experience. I've been through something, be it pleasant or unpleasant, and this is what I learned from it. The reason why this is important to share is because sometimes people have not had the same situation that you have had. They've not had that wonderful, let me go to Disneyland experience, and you share that, man, I went to Disneyland and this is what I had, and it was great and it was amazing. And then so that inspires someone, right? That maybe they want to go to Disneyland too, or maybe they want to have a similar experience as well, right? And then you have the unpleasant experiences. What comes from unpleasant experiences? Wisdom, right? Solutions, ways to protect yourself from having those unpleasant experiences again. Some of those unpleasant experiences could be as simple as I went to Starbucks and I ordered coffee, and the coffee was not good. The service was not good. And I've been twice, and when I went to Starbucks twice, the service was not good. So I'm never going back to Starbucks again. But then you have someone else that actually goes to Starbucks. And when they went to Starbucks, they had a great and amazing and wonderful experience. And so they're telling everybody, oh man, it's so good, right? I had this pleasant experience. When I went, I ordered a small, and they gave me a large, and they gave me all the creams, and they smiled, they gave me a compliment. They just had a wonderful experience, right? But the other person was like, when I went, it wasn't good. It didn't happen. I didn't like it. Like they had the opposite experience, right? So let me pull this down. So the fact that they had this opposite experience, right? You're getting a version from one person with a pleasant and one with an unpleasant. This is going to help you with your decision. Their testimony is going to help you with your decision. If you've never been to Starbucks before and you were thinking about going, then it's up to you to say, you know what? This person had a great one, this one didn't. So what I need to pay attention to when I walk into Starbucks, I need to walk in and I need to pay attention to my environment. And when I walk into my environment and pay attention to my environment, I need to see, are these people in a good mood or are they in a bad mood? Because maybe in the conversation, maybe in the testimony with the person that didn't have a great experience, maybe it was because when they walked in, those people or a person might have been in a bad mood. And you didn't recognize that well off because it's not my job to go in and pay attention to my surroundings. It's my job to go in and get my coffee and leave and then go on about my business and go on about where I need to do with my day. That is what I am here to do. And so because that person did not pay attention to their surroundings and their environment, they went in open and vulnerable, right? They didn't go in cautious and protected, right? What is protection? Protection is being aware. That's what protection is. Being aware and putting things into place to prevent harm. That is what protection is. You can have it emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, sexually, financially. These are all ways that you can actually protect yourself, right? Okay. So now when you go in, you can still be in your good mood. You can be cautious, but you may do a scan of the room, or you may monitor and say, let me see. Okay, well, the vibe is good in here. So the vibe is good. Let me go in. You have your good vibe. You go in, you get your coffee, and you have a wonderful experience. Matter of fact, not only do you have a wonderful experience, but you spread on your side a wonderful experience back to the employees, because maybe that employee had a unpleasant situation going on in their lives, and when you go through the line and you get your coffee, if that person is happy, you give that back to them. Or let's say you get to the front of the line and you realize that person's not in a good mood, say thank you for showing up at work today. Sometimes you got to throw people off, right? This is what you learn from the unpleasant experience. Sometimes people need to be poured into, right? So why share the experience? To help people with their other decisions. That's why you share your testimony. Now, who do you share your testimony with, right? Now, something as simple as a Starbucks experience or a Disneyland experience, pleasant or unpleasant, those are easy to share, right? Because you can talk about that to anybody, right? But what about things that are life changing? What about transitional and transformational testimonies? What about that? Right? How do you trust somebody with that? Right? When deciding who to share a deeper, more personal experience with, you have to utilize your discernment, right? Your discernment is your ability to judge. Judge is your ability to what? I know a lot of people, when the word judge comes in, right, you just had this negative experience. But your ability to judge is to draw a conclusion, right? To draw a conclusion about this person. Does this person really need this? Can they appreciate it? Well, how can I protect my testimony if I'm not really ready to share that part with the world? What do I do? You can always say, I want to tell you a story. Just because you tell a story doesn't mean the story necessarily is about you. You don't have, you can always share the story. But if you are a person who says, I like to keep my business to myself, I'm not going to tell nobody, maybe you may not get on live like Tina. You may not get on YouTube. You may not get on Facebook or TikTok and all these. You may not get on there and share all of that, but in private, you may share it with people that are close to you. A deep personal experience, especially if it was one that was very hurtful. Excuse me, we won't go too deep, but let's just use heartbreak, for instance, right? If you have experienced heartbreak, right? Or as one of my friends said, when your heart needs a break, right? When your heart needs a break, meaning you need time to step back from a situation and look at it from a different perspective, right? Sometimes it can be challenging. Sometimes it can be hurtful. Sometimes you don't understand what is going on and why what's going on is going on, right? You start to question yourself. Things like, I'm not enough. Things like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I have someone? Why this, that, and the other, right? Why can't that person just do what I want? Like, there's so many variables there that go on during a heartbreak situation, right? When you take a step back, sometimes these experiences are not personal, right? To me, when I say it's not personal, what I'm saying is there are some unpleasant experiences, and not all, right? And we're not talking about by force, we're talking about by choice. Disclaimer on that, right? If you have a unpleasant experience, that maybe you made a choice to be in it. Maybe you decided to be a friend with somebody. Maybe you decided to get close with a coworker and hang out. You know, maybe you and another family member are real close, or maybe you and a romantic mate are close, and then maybe even through no fault of your own, or maybe through a fault of your own, depending on what you went through, right? Maybe what happened was this unpleasant experience. Maybe there was some emotional, mental, or spiritual heartbreak, or emotional, mental, and spiritual disagreements, things that cause division, incompatibility, right? And you don't know how to process these things, because when incompatibility happens, right, disagreement happens, most people's response is to be argumentative. Let me defend my side. That's usually the first normal response. Let me defend my side. Instead of just saying, you know what? This is what works for me. If you miss the mark, sometimes you got to charge it to the game. Okay, this is where I missed the mark at. All right. So let's talk about it. I'm going to give you guys an angel number today if you're dealing with a situation like that. Let's go to number 582. It says, trust that your financial needs are being met as your faith evokes positive manifestation. So whatever situation you're going through, if it does involve finances, those needs are going to be met. Don't worry about it. Here's what you need to focus and pray on, though. Your emotional, mental, and spiritual balance. I don't want to say stability, I want to say balance. If you're not balanced in these areas, this can cause upheaval in your financial arena. And maybe that's why this one is coming up, right? All right, let's continue. Let's go on. We're going to go to Trusting God Day by Joyce Meyer, and we're going to see what Joyce has to say about it. I feel like I need to go to the back of the book, so I'm going to go to the back of the book. Ooh! Okay, let me take this out. So Joyce's story today, let's see. It says, trust God's perfect timing. And if you want to know what the date is, it's December the 15th, right? Who's in December? Sagittarius are in December. Maybe it's for Sagittarius. But it's for anybody. So trust God's perfect timing. But these things I plan won't happen right away. Slowly, steadily, surely, the time approaches when the vision will be fulfilled. If it seems slow, do not despair, for these things will surely come to pass. Just be patient. They will not be overdue a single day. I don't know how to pronounce this. This is Habakkuk, Habakuk, chapter 2, verse 3, and it says TLB. Not sure. So it says, I'm sure that you, like most people, you want good things to happen in your life, but you too often want them now and not later. Hallelujah. I know that's me for sure. All of us tend to feel that way, but when the good things we desire don't happen in what we consider to be a timely manner, we are tempted to ask, when, God, when? Most of us need to grow in the area of trusting God and shrink our focus that is on the when question. Now, what I did a video, I think it was last week, right? Or a couple weeks ago. And that video, and you can find it here on the YouTube, it was titled, I Pray and I Obey. Most times when we're asking for things, we need to remember that there are things going on behind the scenes. And just because the things are going on behind the scenes and that you don't see those things happening doesn't mean your prayer is not working and it's not in effect. You have to be patient. And sometimes there are things that you have to clear out. Sometimes there are things emotionally, mentally, spiritually that you need to balance in order to receive what you need. It says, if your mind feels worn out all the time from reasoning, you're not trusting him. Okay, so overthinkers. To me, overthinkers' action is they have self doubt. So overthinking means self doubt. That means that you don't have faith, right? You don't have the belief that something is going to happen, right? Or you don't have the belief that something is going to happen, including your higher power, right? You're not doing that. So then you what? You worry. Worrying is what? Not knowing the outcome. So you sit there and you try to puzzle in your mind all these various different outcomes. And I'm not saying not to do that. And I'm not saying that it's not okay to try to discern these various outcomes. What I'm saying is, if all you are doing every day, all day, every moment is trying to discern these outcomes and not trust the process, you are worrying and you are causing stress onto yourself, onto your body. If you are taking on things that are way too much, maybe you're taking on projects, maybe you're taking on taking care of other people, maybe you're overwhelming yourself by trying to solve every situation in your life at one time instead of taking it one situation at a time. You are overwhelming yourself, right? What is overwhelming? It means that you are having a series, for me. Overwhelming means you're having a series of thoughts and emotions that are happening all at one time and you are unable to sort them out. Let me continue to read. I spent a large part of my life feeling impatient, frustrated, and disappointed because there were things I didn't know. God had to teach me to leave things in his hands. I finally learned to trust the one who knows all things, and I began to accept that some questions may never be answered. We prove our trust in God when we refuse to worry. Now, let me tell you, I used to be a person that I need to know. I have to know. I need to know. I need closure. I have to do that. And I'm still going to say I'm 20, 30% on some things, not all things, but on some things that I definitely need to understand, right? I need to understand why this happened. I need to understand what needs to happen. I need to understand so I can get closure, right? But later on in life, I realized that you don't have to always have the answer. And sometimes you just have to take peace in having lack of understanding in certain areas in your life and solutions, because when you don't let go, right? Let go meaning when you choose not to learn the lesson so that you can progressively move forward, or another word for progressively move forward is focus, right? And you don't let go, then you stay what they call stuck, or you stay what they call blocked. Now, for me, if you are blocked, the way to get out of being blocked is what? You create solutions. If someone is giving you an experience and it is unpleasant and you have not yet figured it out, you need to pray, meditate, and ask for a revelation. And simply be specific with that revelation and say, God, if this is or isn't meant for me, I want it to show up like ABC. But remember, you're a powerful manifester. So if this is for me, I need it to be this. If it's not for me, I need it to be this. But you got to be careful with that, because sometimes the universe is like, oh, you want me to show you that it's not. You want God to show you that it's not for you. And then when you see it, you're like, okay, I'm going to wait for what is for me, because I don't want what's not for me. I said that, but I really didn't mean it. And sometimes you get the answers and the answers are not what you want. So you continue to ignore it and you continue to stay in the cycle of repeating over and over again until you get the answer you want. But you're never going to get the answer that you want if you are continually asking for revelation and you keep getting the same answer. The answer is not going to change, right? Uh let's see. It says trusting God often requires not knowing how God is going to accomplish what needs to be done and not knowing when he will do it. We often say God is never late, but generally he isn't early either. He uses times of waiting to stretch our faith in him and to bring about change and growth in our lives. In other words, so you should be showing patience during this time, and when your reward comes, when your miracle happens, when your gift from God or the universe or whatever your belief system is received, you should be grateful and appreciative. Woo, that took a long time, but it was worth it, right? Because God, to me, worth means useful, right? It was worth it. It was useful for me. Um, Worth is a word that I used to struggle with, and I never knew quite how to put it into words. So, for those of you that have an issue with worth, I'm going to request that you Google, you look up the word, and you find a definition that will fit for you. But what worth means to me is I am useful and respected, or I am useful and appreciated, right? I am worth it. I am useful and respected. Useful. U-S-E. Full, right? I have a purpose. To me, it's another way of saying I have a purpose and I'm respected for that purpose. So when people are saying I am worth it, it's going to mean different things to different people, but this is what I'm feeling and I'm going to go with it. When people are saying to another person in an argumentative way or a I'm trying to convince you way, I am worth it, what the energy is that's coming is, what is wrong with me and why can't you see that I'm purposeful in your life? Why can't you respect me enough to change what you are doing, to change who you are, or to acknowledge that I am the person, I am the situation that is good for you? Why can't you see that I am worth having? Why can't you see that I am useful in your life? First of all, it's not your job to convince somebody. And if you have to convince somebody, then you're in the wrong situation. Family, friend, coworker, or romantic mate. It's not your job to try to convert people to make them into who you want them to be. I'm gonna leave that there. By seeing, let's see, I'm gonna read this part again. We learn to trust God by going through many experiences that require trust. He uses times of waiting to stretch our faith in him and to bring about change and growth in our lives. We learn to trust God by going through many experiences that require trust. By seeing God's faithfulness over and over, we gradually let go of trusting ourselves and place our trust in him. Look at it this way. It is easy to see how timing plays an important part in learning to trust God. If he did everything we asked for immediately, we would never grow and develop into the people he wants us to be. If you're waiting on something right now and you feel frustrated, learn to be happy not knowing, right? What is frustrated? I'm giving y'all some good definitions and words this morning. We just gonna do word definitions this morning. What is frustrated, right? Sometimes frustrated comes out as an emotion or a feeling, right? So for me, frustrated means there is something in the way. There is something in the way. There is something in the way of keeping me from obtaining my goal. That's what frustration is to me. And sometimes the only thing that gets in the way is ourself. We get in the way because we're worrying, right? We're not trusting the process. We're not trusting God or we're not trusting our belief system or the universe or the birds, the trees, whatever it is, we're not trusting that process. So because we're not trusting, we put ourselves in a place of frustration. Okay, I know I have this vision, God, but I don't know how I'm going to make that happen. How are you going to help that happen? When are you going to make it happen? And how is this timing? Like what there's all these questions. And what's being said is take comfort in not knowing. You don't have to know everything. Some things are just unexplainable. But one thing that I do know is revelation to situations always come out in the end. You have to trust the process. When I do my intuitive readings and I give people readings, this is why I specifically say, I may understand, you may not. You may understand, I may not. We both may understand during the reading, or we both may not understand during the reading. This is why I say this, because sometimes I will mention things or things will come up and you may not understand it. Hell, I may not understand it. It's not meant for us to understand, but when the revelation comes, when the miracle happens, when your thing that you've been praying, meditating, and asking for, you are rewarded with it, then you're like, oh, this is why this happened. Or when the answer to your situation is revealed, oh, this is why it took so long, right? You have to take comfort in not knowing. And if you have that bug in you that said, I gotta know, 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 God bless you. Learn how to let go and accept that some things you're gonna have to create a solution for yourself and pray, meditate, and ask for God or whatever your belief system is, right? To reveal to you how to be at peace with it. And I have found in those situations where I couldn't get closure from people or situations, when I figured out how to do it myself, be it days, months, years pass by, usually it'll circle back around what really happened. It's just that me knowing right then what was going on would have been detrimental to my emotional, mental, and spiritual health. So sometimes you push for a thing that you really don't need the answer to, and you keep pushing for that thing, and then you mess around and find out and you get it. And when you get it, you like, I can't handle it. Quit. Mama used to tell me, when you pray to God for something, quit touching it. Because every time you touch it, now you got to start all over. Quit touching it. Quit touching it. It says trust in him. If you want peace, you need to trust God with when and how he will move in your life. And that's what we have. The last little part says, December 16th, make allowances for one another. So if there's a situation going on, it says make allowances. Let me go over here. I'm going to go to this bottom part. It says, what people do will not stop us from loving them. Ooh, this is a good one. Listen up. What people do will not stop us from loving them. If we realize ahead of time they are not going to be perfect, right? Definition of perfect, good as possible. All right. They're not going to be perfect, and prepare to make allowance for that human tendency that we all have. It says trust in him. Do you trust God to love you no matter how many mistakes you make? He will, and he does. Are you willing to do the same for people in your life? Right? Now realize, people making a mistake that is not intentional harm, being forgiven, which forgiven means learning the lesson, right? Giving that person that space to grow and heal is wonderful. Giving that person space to repeat the same offense over and over without creating boundaries is not healthy. There's a difference between a mistake and something being intentionally harmful. You have to use your discernment to decide that. Well, Tina, what is discern, right? Discern is the ability to judge. I don't judge. You judge every day. Shut up. Okay. You have to look at the situation, right? You have to judge. You must judge. You must draw a conclusion. That is what judge is. You must draw a conclusion. If it is something that is offensive to you and unpleasant, you can't change the person. You've got to change yourself. You are the common denominator in the experiences in your life that continue to happen to you over and over again by different people and different situations. If you're having the same problem with everyone that enters into your space, then you are the common denominators, my love, and you have to work on it. I'm not telling you to do something I work on it myself. You must also work on it, right? So today, that was a testimony right there. That was a testimony that I shared with you guys right there, right? What is a testimony? Why share it? And who do you share it with? We also learned today about worrying. We also learned today about overthinking. We learned about trusting the process. The message also came of not knowing. And you have to learn to let go. If you need help with any of these particular things, I got you. Go to bookwatina.com and let me help to bring some empowerment, some enlightenment, and some awareness into your life with my coaching sessions or my one-on-one intuitive session. Let me help you. I'm here and I got you. I love you guys. Book your appointments at bookwatina.com. Make sure you have an awesome and amazing day today. And remember, what testimony can you share with someone today that can help them to advance in their life and help them transform? Love you. Heart emojis to the world.